Very well.
Doing good, man. You want to introduce yourself for the listeners?
How's it going, guys? My name is Kurik Best. I work for the Miami Heat, and with that, also work with the Florida Mayhem and Misfits Gaming, alongside our CEO, Ben Spoon. And I'm here at the Esports Business Summit in Las Vegas, just trying to connect with some brands and see how we can potentially work together. I think we offer kind of a unique ability to market to both our team in the NBA 2K League, but also nationally with the Overwatch League and even globally with Misfits Gaming. So
Now,
we're taking it all in.
Ben Spoon, friend of the show, Ben Spoon,
awesome.
One of our very first interviews, if I recall, almost over 2 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, obviously, first year in Overwatch League. Talk to us about the Mayhem and how it went.
So first season, obviously left a little bit to be desired for our Mayhem fans, but obviously we're working hard to get back and hopefully play at that Barclays Center stage next year. But I think it was a good showing overall, just for the first inaugural year. Seeing the different brands that the Overwatch League, from a league perspective, was able to bring on board, both from an endemic and non-endemic side, was also very promising. And we're just hoping to grow it. I think in the Florida region we have a lot of passionate consumers. We recently, back in August, hosted a watch party for the Overwatch Finals. So it was an awesome event, and hopefully we can do more stuff like that soon.
Well, that's amazing. One of the things that I think has been really interesting about the way that the OWL has started to acquire and accumulate fans is that we've seen a lot of regions starting to pick up. The Texas Triangle, we've seen a lot in LA and even up in Boston as well. What have you guys seen down in Florida as a result of the OWL?
So kind of going off of that event that we had, I think it was pretty awesome to be able to see the local Florida fans there and the event and what we brought out. I think the Overwatch League did a really good job of taking that regionalized approach, because I think it kind of only builds fandom, and I think that's what really kind of drives sports, is the ability to kind of rep where you're from and things like that. So, we're really obviously pumped to continue to leverage our, Florida fans and hopefully bring them more events in the future. So keep on the lookout for that. And I know our guys are certainly excited to get out there. They were signing autographs for, hours on end at that event. So it was a really good showing for one of our first events in the Florida market. And we, like I said, hopefully looking forward to doing more of those.
What does season 2 have in store for you guys? Obviously, we have expansion, new teams coming into the league. Everyone's kind of looking forward to season 3 now, when travel is expected to begin. What's the future looking like?
Obviously, you kind of hinted at it there with the travel and hopefully with the teams regionalizing and getting their own venues and things like that, only add to the kind of lore of esports and things like that. For season 2, we're just going to go out there and hopefully compete. Obviously, we have a little bit of roster turnover there, but we're hoping all in all it kind of helps us get to at the end where we want to be and holding up that trophy.
I do need to ask, what is going into the next season, or into that travel season, when you're not going to have every team playing out of the same building anymore? What do you do to kind of make the in-house performance worth going to? Obviously, you're only going to have a couple games happening. What can you add to that presentation to make it worth it for people to come out and see the event?
Yeah, I think the production value of it obviously has to be top notch. Has to be a very good viewing experience. Obviously, we want to have it should be our arena and our venue should be fan friendly. It should be very spectator friendly. Hopefully, we can have some pretty cool opportunities on site with working with partners to do certain events and activations that provide some extra value for our fans there, to encourage them to come out in addition to watching the game. But those are a little bit of the things that I think we have on the radar, and hopefully we can continue to build out as that season 3 kind of comes along and we want to provide more value to fans.
That sounds really exciting. So I know you're also involved in the NBA 2K League as well.
Yep.
Tell me, how has that been for you guys? Have you seen a lot of response from that?
Yeah, so I think in the first league, and I think it was, first of all, I wanted to say, hats off to the NBA for taking that dive into esports and being the first traditional sports league to kind of jump in there and make a full blown out league with it. So I think from the first year we've definitely seen from the first week we've seen tremendous growth up until the viewership of the actual finals. I was actually there in New York for the finals, and our Heat Check Gaming team fortunately came in second to Knicks Gaming, but it was a really hard fought match, and I think it was really interesting to see, and something for hopefully fans to kind of consider in the future was the in-game atmosphere. I mean, we're defense chants going back and forth. It was a really awesome event, and I think for an inaugural season, you really couldn't ask for much more. And I think, obviously you see the four new markets coming in for season 2. It should, only grow, and I think, everything the NBA kind of puts its hands on is eventually going to be successful. So it's just certainly something to look out to as well. And being a 2K gamer for the last decade or so, it's pretty awesome to see the organization that the league has been able to create with the league.
Well, it's good to hear too. We know that when the draft happened at the beginning of the season, it certainly didn't kind of get the viewership that the NBA was hoping for, and a lot of that comes down to the fact that with no prior involvement, no one knows who the best players are. No one really, you may be a couple in the first round, but after that, no one really knows who anyone is. So it's good to know that as people started to get to know the players and get to, understand the personalities, that's really what esports boils down to so much of the time, is the personality of who the players are, not just how good they are. Everyone who competes in esports, you expect them to be good, but it's the ones who can also be good on the microphone or in front of the camera. They really can push it into the stratosphere.
I'm glad you touched on that, because I think the personality aspect is huge. I think if you pay attention to our Heat Check Gaming channels, I think we do a pretty good job of showcasing the personalities of our players, outside of, when they're, in game mode. I'm talking about their likes and their interests and what they do on their off time. And I think that only helps build the sport, because obviously with all sports, there's a huge emotional connection that goes along with it. And I really think that esports is really going to do a great job of connecting emotionally to our consumers, and the way we do that is kind of showcasing our players, and like I said, what they like, what they dislike, and kind of showing that raw aspect of them is only going to grow the game and grow the sport.
Well, thanks so much for your time. I'm curious, what is next, though, for the Miami Heat? Is there any more that you guys got up your sleeve for esports coming up in the future?
I'm going to leave that to Ben. I know there's a whole bunch of new games that are on the horizon and things like that. I know I will say we're recently opening this month over in Germany. We're opening our Misfits Arena, which is going to be a small space for people to be able to come and watch people play video games. We're going to plan to host local tournaments there. Also going to have a retail presence there as well. So that's kind of our big thing on the horizon right now. That should be opening in a couple of weeks. So really excited about that, and obviously hoping that we can kind of transfer over some of that kind of brick and mortar style esports arena to the U.S. and hopefully do something in the Miami market soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today and letting us know what's going on with the Miami Heat.